Welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast, the podcast for those that are curious about what's possible inside their four walls. Before we get into this episode, let's hear a word from our sponsors that make this all possible. If you're thinking about voice picking, think EPG, the team behind Lydia Voice, the industry's #1 voice picking solution. Warehouses rely on diverse teams, but language barriers can slow everything down. Lydia Live Translation empowers warehouse staff to communicate naturally in over 40 languages in real time. No template training, no dialect detection headaches. See Lydia Live Translation in action at Modex this April in booth B11122. That's booth B11122, or visit epg.com to learn more. Are you drowning in pre-sales engineering? Struggling with resource allocation? Losing opportunities because it takes too long to respond? Quoting shouldn't take weeks. Every delay slows momentum and puts revenue at risk. Today's automation buyers expect instant answers, clear options, and numbers they trust. iAutomate helps system integrators and solution providers create a customer-centric digital buying journey and deliver data-driven concepts and budgets, instantly accelerating pipeline velocity, increasing win rates, and turning speed into revenue. That's sales automation. Learn more at iautomate.app. That's iautomate.app. Running a 3PL with LPG or diesel forklifts? Fuel volatility, emissions, noise, and downtime add up fast. Big Joe Forklifts offers a smarter path with lithium-ion trucks featuring integrated batteries and onboard charging. No fuel handling, no tank swaps, fewer interruptions. Their Pulse telematics platform gives leaders real-time diagnostics, energy insights, and downtime prevention. You can see it all at Modex in booth 9313. That's booth 9313. And a special bonus, if you say Kevin Lawton sent me, you'll get an exclusive swag package. Check them out, booth 9313. That's Big Joe Forklifts. There's no guessing when it comes to operations. We need the truth. Sergere provides that truth when it comes to your most critical systems and operations. Trusted to bring the truth with 99.9% data accuracy to some of the world's largest companies like Honda, Toyota, DHL, Whirlpool, Cat, Eli Lilly, and more. When you need truth in your warehouse operations, bring in Sergere. Get the truth at sergere.com. That's SURGERE.com. Is your fulfillment operation ready for the next surge in demand? Don't wait until productivity stalls to think about automation. Get proactive and talk to Ocado Intelligent Automation to find out when to start your automation journey, how smart software orchestration accelerates performance, and how AMRs like Chuck scale across sites and seasons. Learn how flexible deployment, ongoing support, and real scalability help you meet your customer expectations before peak hits. Head to OcadoIntelligentAutomation.com to start your warehouse automation journey and find them in booth B10119. That's B10119 at Modex. Thank you to our sponsors, and now let's get to the podcast.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse podcast here at Manifest on site in Las Vegas. And we are at the Hai Robotics booth. And I am joined by Adrian Stoch, who is the CEO of America for Hai Robotics, who joined us on the podcast just a week after I think you started, right? So we're going to catch up with him here, learn a little bit about Hai Robotics and their high pick climb that you see behind us here too as well. So Adrian, how's it going so far?
It's going absolutely amazing. Every reason that I researched and I felt were the reasons why I joined Hai have been reinforced exponentially since I've been with the organization in terms of the innovation, the team skill set, the customer focus, all the reasons that, when you're going through the kind of the research and interview process, you gather as much information as you possibly can, but until you actually join, you don't know for sure. I'm 100% sure it was a fantastic decision, and it's just an amazing company to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, I guess first give us a brief overview of Hai for people that are not familiar.
Yeah, so we're a mobile ASRS technology company with an emphasis on two very important differentiators.
Okay.
The one is continuous improvement through innovation. So some of our competitors will be looking at a singular focus from their product suite and being really good at that one thing. And that's okay. But we've got a suite of products in the case handling space that we are innovating continuously. So the product that we have behind us, Hai Climb, it wasn't available in the market until a year ago. And so we've launched it and had a number of successful sales. So the first is the innovation capability of the organization. The second is the customer focus and customer centricity.
Sure.
So this was one of the main reasons why I joined it. Previously, as a customer of Hai Robotics, I felt that as a customer. Because a lot of the industry would think about their responsibility through the lens of their robots. That's not how we think about it. That's not how our founders have thought about it. We're here to solve customers' pain points and really think about our successful outcomes as the customers' outcomes, not whether or not our robots are moving fast enough.
Yeah, very interesting. And I love that you came from the customer side, as we talked about in our previous podcast. And I think that makes, such a difference for, a solution provider to have that experience and that understanding of what the customer actually feels, right? And I know you're bringing that to the team here. So talk to us through the Hai Pick Climb a little bit and what we're seeing behind us and what does it do and what's the great use case for it?
Yep. So the way that our innovation engine works is we have a product flywheel. So people love the term flywheel.
Sure.
But it starts with gathering a lot of market input and customer intel. Facing the customer, what are the pain points that solutions today don't solve for you? And so we don't look at any of our products, our new product releases, as being replacement products. They're complementary to our existing suite of products. So when we're engaging with a customer now, we can show them our system 1, 2, and 3, and then our Hai Pick Climb. And so the origin and the need for this product came from speaking to customers. And really the solution and the problem that this solves is around a combination of both throughput and density, right? Customers that are looking for both in the same system. And it's a very simple system in terms of a single robotic technology, single interface, and able to give us, like I said, an additional product that we're able to offer the market. Like I said, it doesn't replace some of our older products, our products which we have a lot of penetration and existing customer base with, because there are pain points that those solutions provide that this solution right now won't be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about kind of the climbing feature, right? Because I remember when this was unveiled and that was kind of a big talking point, right? It was the climbing aspect of it. So how does that make a difference for like a solution like this?
Well, the key point, of course, is that it can reach the vertical.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So we don't need the telescopic robot to be able to pull the totes down and provide it to the runner robots to then bring it to a pick station. So it's a single robotic solution that can navigate the horizontal and the vertical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think very interesting to see. Obviously, we see it behind us here, hard at work throughout the trade show, right? As I'm sure you are too, right? So very interesting to see that. And I'm curious, since you started, right? I think you started in August, right? So it's been, I don't know, what is that, like 6 months or so, right? So what have you kind of heard as you've been talking to customers or potential customers now in terms of like what challenges are they facing?
We might need an entire video just to answer that question.
Long list, huh?
So there's a few trends.
Sure.
Unfortunately, some of them are negative from an industry point of view, and they're failures. They're failures of warehouse automation.
Yeah.
And a number of customers that have gone through implementations are decommissioning systems.
Yeah.
And we have customers coming to us and speaking. And the good thing about that is now there's a lot more sophistication, understanding from a customer standpoint, and they're more demanding. And I welcome that. And I want that, because more demanding, it leads to something that's very, very important, and that's alignment.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, oh, well, of course you need alignment between the vendor and the customer. But Kevin, there's something very important that I've felt on the customer side that has been 100% reinforced since I've been at Hai, and that's what I just call complexity denial. Complexity denial. Okay. On how difficult these systems are to deploy, and not because of technology, because of what customer success means from an operations standpoint. Just because the robots are hitting rate, presentation rate, does not mean that the warehouse is hitting their SLAs. And again, and I know I'm a bit of a broken record with this point, but it's worth bringing up that the number of times that I was on the customer side hearing from whether it's the engineers or the vendor, but the robots are doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm saying, but my team can't run the warehouse. We're not hitting our KPIs and our SLAs. I'm all very happy for you, automation vendor, that your robots are moving fast enough. But the integration to the output, the integration to the WMS and the OMS and the order profile, it's not working. And so I decided to come to Hai to fix it from the other side.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting to hear that, because you have such a, I think, unique perspective, right, from where you're coming from, and now to relate to those other customers, right, and hear those problems you're talking about. And obviously, we see now that we've had enough penetration, I think, in the automation side where we've seen these failures, unfortunately, right? But that does kind of change the perspective a little bit in the market and the temperature for automation, I think, too, as well. So, I mean, how do you, if somebody has had one of these deployments that hasn't quite been as successful as they've hoped, right? How do you kind of address that with them and make sure that, they're not souring on automation in a sense?
It's not an easy road to navigate what you're describing, because of course it's not just the individual who's been burned, right? It's the fact that now you've got a C-suite and a board who've been burned and signed a $10 million or $20 million investment project that has never come even close to an ROI. The best way that we can handle it is in our reference sites and our reference customers, and take those perhaps jaded practitioners, those first-time practitioners who've been through a painful experience, and bring them into our sites and let them speak to our customers that have had very different experiences. And I don't want to paint like an overly rosy picture. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. And yes, there are implementations that struggle to get to meeting the customer success outcomes. But the one other thing about Hai is we stay the course. We will stay with the customer. And this is something I agreed with my C-suite before coming in. If we have a problem site, I'm not going to go to the customer and say, well, you need this change order and you need to pay this additional amount. We will stay until the customer success is achieved. And that's a big difference.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Because even, as we look at these things and there are issues and things, customers get worried now it's going to cost more, right? You're talking about change orders and things like that. So making sure you're staying, making sure that's successful, I mean, I think is great, not only for that customer, but it's just great for the industry as a whole, right? To increase that automation reputation. So very good to talk to you here. And if you can leave us with one tip around automation, what would it be?
My number one tip, I'm actually doing a presentation at Modix, and we're framing this content. My number one tip for a customer is that when they are defining what it is they're getting from the integrator and the automation vendor, that they define it in terms of their success outcomes, their KPIs, and that they're getting the vendors on both sides to agree. And one more tip.
I'll give you a bonus one.
Tip. Okay. Is that when the practitioner, when the customer is engaging with the integration partner, they should ask the integration partner that the automation vendor needs to be an equal seat at the table, not commercially. The integration partner has that commercial relationship, and we absolutely honor that and respect that. but it's got to be a three-way equal triangle. The automation vendor has got to understand what the customer needs, and not through interpretation by a middle person.
Yeah, absolutely. Love those tips, definitely, and happy to give you a little warm up for Modex and your talk there.
Thank you.
So definitely great tips there. And we talked to Adrian when he joined just 1 week into the company. So now we're gonna cut over. We're actually gonna talk to Colin, who's been here for 2 weeks now. So we're making this podcast like an onboarding process, right? For Hai Robotics. So
awesome.
So we're gonna talk to him a little bit. So Adrian, thank you for your time. All right, so now I'm at the Hai Robotics booth, and Colin McAleenan is joining me here from Hai after we just talked to Adrian. And Colin, we set you up here because Adrian came on the podcast 1 week into joining Hai. Now you're here for 2 weeks, right? So we're making this little like onboarding thing for Hai Robotics to join the podcast. So tell us, what's the position you joined as, and maybe tell us too, like what opportunity did you see here at Hai that got you excited about the technology?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I guess it's a little bit of baptism by fire for new Hai
Sure.
folk.
Yeah.
So I've been in the industry now for about 10 years, and just recently took on the role of Vice President of Business Development and Marketing with Hai. And, there is a lot of noise out in the industry. And one of the things that came through in the interview process as I was talking to Adrian and a bunch of the other colleagues that I have is this mutually assured success model that we operate under with Hai. So yes, we've got integrator partners. Yes, we can go direct to customers. But regardless of that means of engaging with the customer, everybody has to win in order for that to be a successful venture. And the sales cycle doesn't start when a salesperson gets introduced to the end customer. It starts here at the show as you're trying to engage with these customers, understand their problems and their dynamics, and really listen to how you think you might be able to help solve the problem. And then obviously beyond just the one site, a lot of people get focused on, let's just get through this one site together. And I think at Hai, what really stands out is, of course, the one site is kind of table stakes. You have to do that right if you want to have a long-term successful relationship with these clients and have that mutually assured success model.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great to hear that. And congratulations, of course, on the new role. So tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned you got 10 years of industry experience, right? So what are you seeing are, like, as of right now, I mean, what are some of the top challenges for warehouse operators, and what are they going through? Or maybe even, what is some of the stuff you've heard at Manifest so far this week?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that obviously stands out is, do you or do you not have something that says AI on your website or in your title or associated with your brand?
Yes.
And I think what a lot of companies are at risk for is, are you just throwing it out there, or do you have intentions behind the application of the AI?
Yeah.
Hardware is hardware to an extent, but what are you doing with all the feedback that hardware is giving you? What are you doing with the feedback that's coming from the customer's data? And how are you actioning that, not by looking backwards, but by looking forwards with that customer and going, here's what the industry is doing, here's what your particular vertical is doing, here's the other challenges that your competition is facing, and now let's have an intelligent, intentional conversation about how our technology profile can support you, not only with the hardware application, but also our advanced analytics and what our own intelligence can offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's smart to say that. And with the AI, like you said, obviously we see a lot of AI stuff around here on the floor. I'm curious, how is Hai has AI in the name, coincidentally, right? How is Hai kind of like approaching that? And what do you think, how can AI systems kind of interplay with physical automation as well?
Yeah, it comes down to intentionality, right?
Yeah.
And like with any good software tool, the basis starts with good data.
Sure.
And so one of the first conversations that we want to have with our customers is, do you know your data? Do you trust your data? And how are you actioning it today?
Yeah.
Before I was in automation, I spent 10 years in automotive. And got heavily indoctrinated with all the lean practices.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stuck out to me about the lean in the automotive world was, get your paper processes right first. Get your data to a point where you can trust it, because it's very expensive to make software changes after the fact. So, the approach that we take with what we're doing here at Hai is, let's talk to that customer about the data integrity. And in reality, do you trust it? Yeah. Because if you don't trust that data, or it's incomplete, I don't care how sophisticated the partner is that you work with and how good their AI tools are, you're going to have gaps in the learning algorithms and how you're trying to apply it going forward. So for us, while we can brag about a lot of what we do in terms of how we slot, how we manage our fleet, we really do try to focus on driving home the point with the customer of let's sit down and be very intentional about how you want to use the data that you have and how we can plan and forecast for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I think that's great because, being able to get that all to work together. And as we see, there's so many different layers of technology right here on the floor and just in general in our space, being able to get everything to kind of interplay and work together is really important. So we're here at Manifest, right? And this is all about the future, right, of supply chain and logistics. So being in the industry for quite some time, right, for people that are coming here or just in general, they're looking to, bring technology into their operations, what would be like your top piece of advice for them on how to approach that technology in the right way?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to two critical factors. You asked me a question that I partially answered previously, so I'll tie in my second half of that answer to this answer.
Go ahead.
Is customers today, clients today are looking for true partnerships. That word gets thrown around a lot, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
It's about getting that first step right, but then how do you plan for long-term mutually assured success? And in order to do that, we have to recognize that life changes hour to hour, day to day, week to week in our industry.
Yeah.
Whether it's because of geopolitics or it's because of, industry trends and shifting consumer profiles, so on and so forth. So the first thing is, I think what's in demand today is, can you move fast enough, either direct with the end customer, or through a partnership to meet those needs in a very timely manner, but do it with quality. So speed and quality, I think, is a trend that a lot of this industry, the end users of automation are looking for today.
Yeah.
If you don't have multiple deployments with partners or multiple deployments on your own and demonstrate that you can move with agility in light of everything that's going on, it's going to be tough to convince more people to adopt your technology.
Yeah.
So I think having those reference cases built up where you've demonstrated that you can move quickly and move with quality is going to be hugely important. And I think the other part of this too is, that time between signing that, that contract and getting that PO to when you can turn it over to the customer. Because look, there's a lot of great legislation out right now that lets people take advantage of these capital purchases and how a CFO can benefit from getting that tax shield and getting that free cash flow after a year or two, depending on how they want to depreciate these assets. So the other part of that answer is, I think knowing what advantages that you can take care of from a regulatory or a legislative standpoint is also going to heavily inform not only the initial investment you make in an asset today, but then how do you free up cash flow for expansions and modularity in the future?
Right.
And that's something that I know that I've worked with our sales team on here and that I'm stressing as part of our business development efforts is, it's one thing to be experts in automation. It's another thing to be experts in that vertical market.
Yeah.
Do you have that extra layer of expertise to advise these people across multiple personas in an organization on all of the different benefits that are out there just above and beyond the automation? So it truly is like the best compliment that I think you can get from any client is, oh my gosh, it's like you work here.
Yeah.
and when
that's good. I like that. Yeah.
And when you get that compliment, you know that you've hit a different level of resonance within that organization, and now you have that trusted partnership.
Yeah, and I think that's a great approach and great to hear that because, it's very important, right? When you think about, you talked about kind of the capitalization of it and figuring out, the spend and how do you get creative around that? Because in some instances, it's like, okay, well, as a business, could we take this money and invest in automation, or could we take this money and put it towards an acquisition or growth or something like that? And understanding that from the solution provider side, I think is a fantastic thing to be able to do, because then you can help them navigate their strategy a little better, right? So great to talk to you, and congratulations on the new role, right? And we'll put you to the test here, right? So Hai Robotics, if you want to learn more about Hai Robotics, what's the best way to do that?
Great question. HaiRobotics.com is the fastest, easiest way to do it, or come find any one of us on LinkedIn, and we would love to have a conversation.
All right. Fantastic answer. And you got it spot on the first time. So you passed the onboarding test of the New Warehouse podcast for Hai Robotics. So Colin, thanks so much for joining me here and letting us have some time in your booth. Check out Hai Robotics and go to newwarehouse.com for more information on how to connect with them.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
enjoyed this episode, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the new warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.